Hi, and welcome to Comedy Recapped. Today we'll be talking about the 1994 buddy comedy Dumb and Dumber. This movie is about two dim-witted best friends, Lloyd and Harry, as they travel cross-country to Colorado in hopes of returning a briefcase left by a mysterious woman at an airport. But what they don't realize is they've gone right in the middle of a kidnapping ransom exchange. Beware. Spoilers ahead. Lloyd Christmas, a chip-toothed limo driver, pops his head out of the back window of a stretch limousine and strikes out with an attractive Austrian woman on the side of the road, making poorly worded jokes that fall flat. Clearly not dismayed by the turn of events, he climbs back into the front of his limo, revealing that he's just the driver. We see our first glimpse of Harry Dunn, dressed head to toe in a dog suit as he drives past. He climbs into the driver's seat of a furry van that says "Mutt Cuts" on the side and drives off. One by one, he feeds each of the dogs in his back seat, driving erratically. Lloyd makes it to his client's mansion, a woman by the name of Mary Swanson. She's friendly to him, but mostly just professional. Meanwhile, Lloyd has immediately fallen in love with the woman. Lloyd does his best to impress her and engage in light conversation as he drives her to the airport. Largely unimpressed, she indulges him and tells him she's going to Aspen to stay with family. Lloyd is enamored and turns around in his seat to better hold a conversation with her. He drives through oncoming traffic without realizing it, leaving Mary uncomfortable and slightly fearful, but she's too polite to say anything. Meanwhile, Harry drives his dogs with headphones on, sending the bus flying at one point from the sheer momentum. Harry gets a talking to from the client for being late, only to tell her he got them there, groomed and ready. When Harry opens the back of his car, the dogs are not only not show-ready, but covered in food and condiments due to his erratic driving behavior. Lloyd tries to send Mary off, and they share a friendly goodbye. A moment later, Lloyd pulls her back in for a slightly too long hug, clearly having taken much more stock in their interaction than she did. Back in his car, Lloyd drives alongside the airport. Two people emerge behind Mary inside the elevator, saying she will leave a briefcase by the escalator. This is not known by Lloyd, who simply watches the woman from the glass-windowed airport, hoping to see her off, hitting something and setting his airbag off. Pinned in his seat, he watches in surprise as she leaves her bag behind. Lloyd runs through the airport, through the two people from before, to grab the briefcase and run after Mary. He runs through the terminal, only to run straight onto the tarmac after the plane has already flown off. Harry and Lloyd reunite back home, both disheveled and tired looking from work. As they walk together to their run-down apartment building, Lloyd has been tailed by the two thugs from the airport, looking to retrieve the briefcase and figure out who Lloyd is working for. In the apartment, both men are commiserating as they've both been fired from their jobs. Lloyd seems in high spirits, but Harry is downtrodden, as he had recently spent his life savings to turn his van, a 1984 Ford Econoline, into a dog. Lloyd and Harry are spooked by the thugs at their door, thinking it's the debt collectors as they hadn't paid their gas bill, and one of them is armed. The two escape through the back window with the briefcase and look for new jobs. While they're out, the thugs behead Harry's pet parakeet. When they finally come home, Lloyd leaves again to get beer and other supplies. Harry says to just get the bare essentials because they're strapped for cash. Lloyd says not to worry, but ends up with a lot of junk. On his way back home, he comes across a magazine. He gets his paper, but leaves his wallet in the box, only to realize he's out of coins to open it. A little old lady zooms by, and he asks her for change. When she doesn't have it, he asks her to watch over his things. She agrees, but he immediately starts insulting her without realizing it. When he comes back, all of his things are gone, stolen by the little old lady. He returns to the house empty-handed, dramatically slamming the door. He says he was robbed by a sweet old lady on a motorized cart. They're unhappy with their lives in Providence, Harry is downtrodden by the sudden death of his pet bird, and Lloyd insists they should leave their lives in Providence behind and head to Aspen to give Mary her briefcase. Harry is hesitant, but Lloyd convinces him. The next day, on their way to Aspen, the two talk about their lack of funds, and Lloyd explains he sold some stuff to get a little extra cash. Harry is horrified he sold his dead parakeet, only to find he sold the parakeet to a blind neighbor kid who doesn't realize it's a dead bird. They left a sign on the door telling the gas man they packed up and drove to Aspen, which the thugs find, and follow the two men. Harry and Lloyd stop at a truck stop diner on their way, where they go on to joke with the waitress who is offended and thinks they're mocking her. Harry accidentally drops a salt shaker, to which Lloyd says he needs to throw it over his shoulder for bad luck. He throws the whole shaker, hitting Seabass in the face. The large man comes over and spits on Harry's food. The two men try to reconcile with Seabass and company by offering to buy them all beers. When Harry says they don't have money to do that, Lloyd instead tells the woman at the front that Seabass has offered to pay for their checks. She's hesitant, but the man waves at them, and she takes it as confirmation. They manage to escape, but are speeding, and Lloyd complains he needs to use the restroom. Harry doesn't want to stop if Seabass catches up to them, and instead says he should use a bottle. He instead uses several bottles, which he fills. Due to their speed, they're pulled over by a police officer in Pennsylvania. He sees the bottles and assumes they're full of beer, taking one while lecturing the men on drinking and driving. Not realizing it's urine, he takes a swig to understand what he's drinking, and shouts at them to leave. In Aspen, Mary and her family are trying to figure out what happened to the money they dropped off, as they have no clue about Lloyd taking the briefcase. They're trying to make a game plan, fearing the worst from the thugs, because their friend, Nicholas Andre, feeds into the fear. Mary left the briefcase full of ransom money at the airport terminal in exchange for her husband, who had been kidnapped, but Lloyd didn't know. Meanwhile, Harry is asleep on the road, and Lloyd begins to daydream about bringing the briefcase back to Mary. Daydream Mary is overjoyed, and he is a hit with all of her daydream friends. He gets to fight off a competition at a restaurant with Mary, showing off his kung fu skills. When Lloyd wakes up, he's driving on the wrong side of the road, right into oncoming traffic. The two stop at a motel to rest, share a heart-shaped hot tub, and share some of their past love experiences. Outside, the thugs communicate with their boss, trying to figure out the next plan of action. It turns out their boss is actually Nicholas from before. The thug is on the phone while a man outside the booth is harassing him to hurry up. He finally gets fed up, punching through the glass and knocking the man out. The next day on the road, Harry and Lloyd see the thugs on the side of the road, pretending to be broken down. The man, Joe, gets into the car with them, while the woman follows them. The two men annoy Joe until he's ready to scream at them before the three of them go to a restaurant for lunch. After they set off his ulcer, Lloyd and Harry inadvertently kill Joe by sneaking hot peppers onto his burger. He asks for medicine, and instead, they give him the rat poison he'd planned on poisoning them with. The two men leave and accidentally take a wrong turn, driving them to Nebraska instead of Colorado. They stop for gas, and Harry meets a nice woman who seems interested, and the two of them begin to hit it off. Meanwhile, inside the truck stop, Lloyd is cornered by an angry Seabass in the men's room, who looks to assault him. Harry, still outside, mistakenly sets his foot on fire but doesn't want to say anything, ending up yelling as she slowly goes to write her number down. She drives off, and he's left with a burning leg. Harry comes running to put out his foot, knocking Seabass unconscious and inadvertently saving Lloyd. The men are virtually out of gas, and Harry is infuriated by Lloyd's mistake, so he begins walking home. Lloyd trades the van for a small scooter and catches up with Harry, and the two proceed to Aspen. Once in Aspen, Lloyd realizes he can't remember Mary's last name, so they can't locate her in the phone directory. Their first night is spent in a cold park. The two end up in a scuffle and, in the process, bust the briefcase open to discover the massive amount of cash that was inside. They decide to spend the money responsibly and to track each purchase with IOUs, so everything is accounted for. However, the two live extravagantly. They check in at a luxury hotel, purchase a Lamborghini, have full-body makeovers, and purchase gaudy, colorful tuxedos with top hats and canes. They're spotted by the remaining thug and the Swanson's friend, who think they're deranged and purposely kill Joe. Lloyd attempts to use the money to impress Mary at an expensive charity dinner, but Harry befriends her instead, and she mistakes his stupidity for intentional humor. Harry, unable to admit he's made a mistake and believing Mary's friendship is a romantic interest, tells Lloyd she's going to meet him for a date the next day, despite planning one with her. While celebrating, Lloyd cracks open a bottle of champagne, killing one of the owls the conservationist charity had come together to save. The next day, Mary and Harry go out on the slopes, and Mary is pleased to be able to go out. Harry gets his tongue stuck to a rail when he licks it. Lloyd is waiting, as planned, at the bar for Mary. But 10 a.m. comes and goes, and the bartender is kind about it but informs him it's actually 1 p.m. Mary continues to be charmed by Harry's simple-mindedness, not realizing how stupid he is. Lloyd has been pulled into a one-sided conversation at the bar with a woman he's exhausted by, not interested in listening to or hiding it. The bartender saves him when he says he knows Mary Swanson, though Lloyd assumes the worst when he says she comes in all the time. Despite his sudden aggression, the bartender tells him where to find Mary. Lloyd has made it to the mansion on Alpine Drive, where Mary lives, only just in time to see Harry drop her off. He also mistakes her friendship with Harry as a romantic interest, and he feels betrayed by his friend. Harry puts up a good show at the hotel about being upset that Mary ghosted Lloyd. Meanwhile, Lloyd sits through it, knowing she had been with her friend all along. Harry is supposed to leave, but Lloyd convinces him to toast before, spiking his drink with Turbo Lax as his revenge. Harry shows up at Mary's house, though she needs a minute to get ready. The laxative hits Harry almost immediately, and he's left struggling as he quickly finds a bathroom to relieve himself in. Mary comes knocking and says the toilet's broken and not to use it, but it's too late, and Harry is stuck trying to dispose of the toilet's contents without letting her know what he's done. Lloyd shows up at Mary's house and is frenzied to reintroduce himself. He asks her to join him back at the hotel so he can return the briefcase, to which she is all too willing to do. The two leave Harry behind, and he's left pouring the toilet out the window. Shortly after, they're found by the man behind Mary's husband's kidnapping, Nicholas. He holds the two in the hotel room to get the money, and Lloyd reveals all the money's gone and replaced with IOUs, which freaks him out, and he handcuffs the two to the bed. Harry comes into the room and is instructed to get on the bed. He demands that Andre shoot him because of his part. Andre does, but before Lloyd is killed, Harry jumps up and shoots at Andre. He misses all of the shots, but the FBI intercede. The FBI was aware of Andre and the kidnapping scheme, and equipped Harry with a bulletproof vest as he entered the hotel. To Lloyd's dismay, Mary is reunited with her husband as he hadn't realized she was married. Lloyd briefly daydreams about murdering her husband, but it's interrupted when she introduces the two men. With no money, the two men are left to walk home. They're intercepted by a bus full of Hawaiian tropic bikini models, clearly inviting them to be their oil boys. Still, they instead inadvertently turn them down and direct them to a nearby town. They walk off together, talking about how two lucky guys will get to tour all over with the women, oiling them up before shows. Harry reassures Lloyd that they'll get their break someday. They just need to keep their eyes open. And that's going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this recap as much as we did. Let us know below what you thought of this one in the comments down below. While you're at it, if you liked the video and want to look into other movies with us, then be sure to like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on. That way you won't miss a single video. Thanks for watching.